Thank you so much, and welcome to today. I want to thank our chair for his welcome address and for Leila for leading us into this. So, Endeavor. Usually we start and think that everybody in the room knows of Endeavor, but we'd like to just shed some more light and focus in on different areas on Endeavor. Cue in the slides. So who, what, and why? Our core belief, which we keep going on about, is that we are a leading global community of, by, and with high impact entrepreneurs. We believe that these leading entrepreneurs are the ones that actually catalyze the ecosystem they're working with. We expect them, we want them to dream bigger, scale faster. We give them a platform to dream bigger, scale faster, and pay it forward, which we've spoken about. Endeavor globally has existed for 27 years, and we're currently in 45 countries across the globe, with over 600 employees across the globe, meaning that in every market that we're in, we have people on ground, locals that understand the nuances in their different markets. We've selected 2,600 plus entrepreneurs across the globe, and these companies or entrepreneurs have actually created 4.1 million jobs across the globe, creating revenue of $67 billion annually. Linda, thank you so much. I should have just paused there. We have a global footprint, as you can see, where we've launched in Canada, in America, we're in Africa, South Asia, LATAM, where we actually started off, and you would see the high potential areas that we're looking at. Endeavor, actually attracts, the country attracts Endeavor to it. Next, please. So if I speak a little bit about Nigeria. So Endeavor Nigeria was launched in February 2018 with founding members like Mr. Bolaji and Fasol and El Khalil, who were interested in what Endeavor did and thought it was necessary to bring it into our ecosystem, into our market. Since 2018, we've selected 21 companies and led by 34 high-impact entrepreneurs who have actually created, as at last year, 183 plus jobs in Nigeria and have had a collective revenue of $573 plus million in 2023. And as we mentioned, we're actually supported by, we couldn't do the work we're doing at Endeavor Nigeria without our esteemed board members led by Bolaji Balogun. Next slide, please. And a little bit more about the companies we spoke about. So if you look at these companies, I'm sure, like Lele mentioned, if you're in Nigeria, you would encounter at least one of these companies. Flutterwave, Moneypoint, Carbon, Max, PiggyVest, Daystar, Helium Health, Vendees, Zone, Core, AutoCheck, Paga, Filmhouse, Field Intelligence, Trade Depot, and Omni Retail. And this year we brought two exciting companies into the network, Mata earlier in this year and Lemfi. So I'll hand over to Adrian just to tell you why we actually do what we do at Endeavor.
Perfect. Thanks, Ireayo. So you're all here in an Endeavor conference, and I was wondering, prior to coming to an Endeavor conference, show of hands, how many of you knew about Endeavor? Let me see if I can see. Okay, perfect. So we'll do a good job at trying to explain. But in essence, this slide shows you a bit why we're who we are, and I'm gonna skip this script a bit. We were rehearsing this yesterday, but normally in my day-to-day, I'm dealing with entrepreneurs, so I don't normally put on a jacket too often, even less a tie or a suit. And I found my jacket, and I was putting my notes, and all of a sudden I found some notes that I had from a prior event. And the prior event was actually my father's funeral. Unfortunately, my father passed away a bit over 2 months ago. Things from him as an entrepreneur. But the one thing that I noticed, being an entrepreneur, is that he was an entrepreneur in Spain, is that he lacked the support. He lacked the network. Now, he did everything on his own. 40 years, amazing company, amazing business, but he didn't have all the support that an organization like Endeavor can bring. And what Endeavor is trying to do is shortcut that support, trying to be able to figure out how you can connect you with mentors? How connect you with investors? How can we connect you with other entrepreneurs that have already done it? It doesn't need to be someone that is already at the level of Apple. It has to be someone that is 4 steps ahead of you, no? And the essence of what we're trying to do is eliminate these obstacles by trying to actually connect with the different resources that an entrepreneur might need, no? So that's the core of what Endeavor is. If you want, we could go to the next slide. But if you really want to understand Endeavor, and if there's one thing I want you to take out of this conference, it would be this, the multiplier effect. Because this is something that you can actually very easily kind of understand, no? It's kind of, why are these people, and why are the 600 and something employees, and why are all of our board members supporting this organization? It's because we truly believe, and we know, because we have the data to prove it, on this that's called the multiplier effect. And the multiplier effect is relatively easy to understand, because it really means it's not only the entrepreneur that starts an amazing company that grows and becomes a unicorn and all of that you see on the newspapers, but it's also how that has an effect in the local ecosystem, no? How the entrepreneur doesn't only become an entrepreneur, but when he has a liquidity event or sub-capital, also becomes an angel investor. How the entrepreneur doesn't only become an entrepreneur, but also a mentor, because as I said before, they've learned so many things because they're 2 steps ahead of their peers, no? That are 2 steps behind, and they're willing to actually share that experience, no? Then there's the fact of entrepreneurs that start a company, hire their first 10, 20, 30, 40 employees. Those 30 or 40 employees see the company scaling, and all of a sudden they say, I could do that, and they leave the company and start the other companies, the famous mafias. No, think of the PayPal mafia and how Elon Musk and Peter Thiel came out of those, or Reid Hoffman. No, and all of that is a huge multiplier effect. So it's not only the one company that was started. No, it's not only Flutterwave or Paga. It's all of a sudden the effect that that's having in the Nigerian ecosystem. No, so that's the core. So again, if you're going to leave with one picture of what Endeavor is the core. It's multiplier effect. No. There's a part of the unicorns. I don't like getting too much into unicorns because unicorns are speaking about valuation, and valuation is just a number. But the reality of the unicorn is that the impact that a unicorn has in an ecosystem is huge. A unicorn means that the company has made it, no? That they've reached certain value. Investors have seen the value. It's already had traction. It has enough usage to be able to reach that status. But it also puts the network in the map. The ecosystem in the map, no? All of a sudden, the first unicorn makes other investors think, I might be missing out. Let me see what's going on in this market. It makes other people believe, hey, there's a possibility of entrepreneurship. I have a niche that I want to develop, no? So it's very, very important to actually note that these unicorns are actually the catalyzers, as we were talking about, of the next generation of entrepreneurs. Here's a bit of a statistics in which we were looking at where unicorns were 15 years ago, and 15 years ago, they were mainly in the US. If you look at the picture today, you will see that this is the distribution, no? 50% of them are in the US, the other 50% are non-US markets, no? And yes, if you eliminate China and India out of it, you still see that 27% of them are from all over the world, including in Africa, in Europe, in Southeast Asia, and Middle East. So it's fascinating to see that there's more and more of these unicorns. And then I don't know if we have the next slide that we have, but what we're very proud of, and I don't know if the slide is there, but we can go back to the prior slide, but we're very proud of at Endeavor is that we've been able to select the first unicorns of many of these markets, no? And these first unicorns in these markets have meant so much in those ecosystems. For me, for example, it's very fascinating because I've actually experienced it firsthand, seeing these first unicorns in some of the core markets. And as Ireayo mentioned, one of our first markets were Latam, no? We've been in Brazil for 20 years. What was fascinating is that the first Endeavor entrepreneur, 99 Taxi in Brazil, which by the way, complete coincidence, was actually a former Endeavor employee, but the first Endeavor unicorn in Brazil actually was the trigger of so many unicorns in Brazil. I think Brazil is now up to 37 unicorns, so it's actually had quite a trajectory. But we're very proud that the first one was an Endeavor entrepreneur, and the first in many of the markets in which we operate is that one that opens kind of like the stage. No? We were talking about the mafia effects, no? And here we're talking about what fintech mafias are. And Lele was actually talking about how she'd used several of these services when she was engaging with different interfaces last week, no? but Flutterwave, Interswitch, Paystack, MoneyPoint, Time, all these companies are the start of the mafias. Now you already see certain employees that have left and started other companies. You see already that they're investing in the next generation. They are mentors, they're part of our boards. So anyway, we're very, very proud of what we're seeing in all over Africa. We're particularly very proud of the huge opportunity, as Bolaji mentioned, that Nigeria represents. And I think that there's much more to come in the ecosystem, but I want to give you a bit of a slide of what Endeavor really is about and why we're so proud of supporting who we do. And with that, I'll pass it on to Michele to be able to tell us a bit more about our venture vehicle.
Talk about money.
Exactly, talk about money.
Well, the chairman teed up Endeavor Catalyst beautifully, and Endeavor Catalyst is our rules-based co-investment fund. But before I get into where we are now with the fund, I just want to take you down memory lane to why we actually started this fund. We had been supporting emerging markets ecosystems for 15 years at that time and had gotten really, really good at selecting the right entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs with the highest growth potential that could really transform these ecosystems. And a big part of the way we used to support entrepreneurs is with access to capital. So we'd connect global institutional capital to emerging markets, and a lot of times, these global US funds were investing for the very first time in markets like Turkey, Brazil, through Endeavor. So we really started Endeavor Catalyst to have skin in the game, to financially support our Endeavor entrepreneurs, but also to become self-sustaining as an organization. As the chairman highlighted, the proceeds that come out of the exits of these companies that we invest in, a portion of them go back to fund Endeavor Global's operations, both globally and locally. So that's a bit of the story. Where we are now, it's been 12 years later. We've made over 300 investments. We have $500 million in assets under management across our 4 funds. But what's really, really amazing is that we can prove that not only can we make the right investments, that we are actually returning capital to our LPs. So we've had 24 exits and realized about $123 million in exits. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. So this is a very cool slide because out of the 300 investments we've made, 1 in 6 companies are valued at $1 billion or more. And that's a very impressive stat, so yes, you can clap. But what's more impressive is that it really shows talent is universal. You can build $1 billion company out of Africa, out of LATAM, out of Europe. And I want to take you back to Fund 1. Fund 1 was a $10 million fund. We were given $10 million in philanthropic capital to test this thesis of Endeavor Catalyst in 2012. And out of that $10 million, we made $86 million. That's an 8.6x return on the fund, cash on cash. Those returns were driven from markets like Argentina, Brazil, Turkey. Now let's take Turkey for a second. Turkey is an amazing country, but not without its difficulties. It's seen attempted coups, the lira has devalued, the economic situation has not been the easiest, but it's our highest performing country for the fund. And we've realized 11x in returns out of Turkey alone. So it really shows you that if you stay the course in these markets, you can really get good returns and see transformation occur. Where we are in Africa, we've made 26 investments since 2018, so it's still very early days for us in Africa. We've made, out of the 26 investments, we've invested about $25 million in capital. But we've had the privilege of investing some of the best companies on the continent. Go1, Flutterwave, MoneyPoint, Zone, Time Bank, and the list goes on. That's not our whole portfolio. And we've been able to co-invest alongside not just global funds like QED, Flourish, Insight, but as more regional funds come onto the continent. We've invested alongside Novastar, Partech, and we hope to do more alongside African homegrown funds. What's also very amazing about our African portfolio is we have 2 unicorns, Flutterwave being one and Go One being the other, but we've already had our first exit out of Africa. And this was a Tunisian company we invested in, a company started by a man called Karim. He built an AI company out of Tunisia. We invested in their Series A in 2019, a $10 million round, and it exited for close to $700 million last year when they sold to a pharmaceutical company. But I think that story showcases 2 things. One, you can build a company, an AI company, out of the continent, leveraging African talent, and you can have an amazing exit. But it also showcases that it takes time. Karim's story is a 10-year story. He started this company in 2014 and exited it in 2023. So you really have to stay the course in these markets. But what we are hopeful for is we expect many more of those exits to come in the near future. We have amazing companies that have scaled not just in their local market, but regionally, are at that growth stage phase, like Flutterwave, Time, and we hope to see much more activity in liquidity in this market. So I'll hand it back to Ireayo, but that's a bit about the Catalyst story, and yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So if anybody here has actually been ever involved or part of Endeavor, you've actually contributed to transforming economies, like we've mentioned, with all these different high-impact entrepreneurs. You've built communities and lives. You've built lives. And we're proud that we've built this together, and we believe in what we're doing. And why do we do this? We want you to work with us, so you join us, be a member of our network, or trusted partners of ours, which we have a few of you in the audience, and mentor with us, so help the amazing founders lead the way. Like Adrian spoke to his father being an entrepreneur and what you gain from actually having mentorship, peer mentorship and commercial mentorship. Invest in us, and I think Michele spoke to that. But without further ado, I want to speak about something that Endeavor actually provides or delivers for the ecosystem, all the different ecosystems in which we work in. And it's almost looking into the future for us in Nigeria, beyond just the entrepreneurs that we support in our portfolios, also those that are coming up in the pipeline. And we have a scale-up program, and it's designed to boost those that are not quite Endeavor ready, but just to help them with a trajectory, build them, give them a taste of what Endeavor is. We usually say Endeavor, if we could bottle it to explain what it actually is and how it supports entrepreneurs, it would be great. And I think the closest to what we have of that is the multiplier effect. So when you look at the multiplier effect, you see the benefits of mentorship, the benefits of peer mentorship, the benefits of actually getting capital and being guided. Our chairman spoke to governance being an issue when entrepreneurs start, and literally you're just solving a problem and disrupting what's going on in your ecosystem. Oftentimes you're not from a corporate world and you need guidance in governance. We created mentorship for these up-and-coming entrepreneurs, and we're providing it, developing and executing long-term growth plans for them. Without further ado, I will just share with you the cohort, our second 2024 cohort of the Scale Up program by Endeavor. And we have 9 up-and-coming entrepreneurs businesses that we're really excited about. I would like to give them a taste of Endeavor to help them grow and hopefully become Endeavor entrepreneurs. Thank you very much.